Hello everyone, Trent Hummel with the Western Equipment Dealers Association Dealer Institute Training and Consulting Division. Today we're going to talk about removing attachments off used units. Now, an implement is an item that has its own serial number. An attachment, or accessory sometimes it's called, is usually identified by a part number or a whole goods part number, and normally attachments are bolted onto a unit and a little harder to remove. Now, the scenario in many dealerships, the salesman wants to sell a unit, he can't get enough money from the customer, so he wants to remove some attachments to reduce the value of the unit. These attachments go on a pallet and they forget to put the hydraulic plastic caps on the lines, and hydraulic lines get full of water or dirt, or the hardware gets all lost, or there's a foot of snow on the ground and they drive over it with the forklift. But either way, the dealership has a lot of value of these items on the books, but when you look out in the backyard, it's just a pile of junk. So, number one, remove an attachment if it doesn't add any value to the unit, if it's junk. I used to do this as a kid all the time. This was my job, taking off all these farmer homemade attachments that took them right off the machine and threw them right into the dumpster. Second, you can take an attachment off a unit if you're not going to diminish the value of the unit, but you're going to enhance another unit's value. So you're just taking it from one unit to another, and you're trying to elevate the image or the saleability of a second unit. Third, you can take it off if you have a standalone buyer, but in that case, only take it off if you don't need that attachment in order to sell the unit in your market. You don't want to diminish the value of a unit that's standing alone in your yard. Now, I know this is an ideal world and there's always going to be some attachments come off, and I get asked all the time, how do you put a value on it? And this is the process we used. If that attachment over the parts counter was $1,000 brand new, we would assume then it would sell used at $500, half price. So then we would say, okay, we only want it on our books at $250, half price of what it's going to sell for, less whatever service labor time it's going to take to remove that unit. So all of a sudden that attachment, we're not going to allow very much for it, and the customer or the salesman say, well, for that much money, we might as well leave it on the unit. And that becomes a win for the whole goods department. Thank you, and stay safe.